As the G7 hardens its stance on countries supporting Russia's war in Ukraine, resolving that conflict is also the focus of a gathering of leaders in Lucerne in Switzerland this weekend. Security is tight in the area surrounding the Alpine resort of Bergenstock. Officials from about 90 states and organizations will be taking part in the peace conference. But organizers said 160 had been invited. Russia, though, did not get an invitation, while China, accused by the West of aiding the Russian war effort, has rejected an invitation. Reports say Beijing instead is pushing for its own peace plan, which also involves a similar conference and has Russian support. With key names staying away from the peace summit in Lucerne, there are concerns about this event's potential reach and impact. Megumi Lim has more from Kyiv.
The summit will take place against the backdrop of intensified Russian assaults on Ukraine. In the months leading up to it, attacks knocked out more than half of the country's power generating capacity, and the ground offensive in the northeast broke open a new war front. Ukrainians here are hoping the summit will unite countries in discussing what matters most to them, peace, and to frame the end of the war as something that matters not only to Ukraine but to the rest of the world.
The war that we have here in Ukraine, it's not only our Ukrainian war, and I hope that it will become more and more obvious for Western policies to realize that it affects the whole Europe and maybe the whole world, because like bad guys, they're observing what the USA and other countries, how they react.
U.S. President Joe Biden will not be attending due to his campaign schedule, but the U.S. will be represented by Vice President Kamala Harris and National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said last month Russian President Vladimir Putin will be giving a standing ovation to Biden's absence. Russia is not invited, and the Kremlin has dismissed the initiative as a waste of time without Moscow's participation. China has said it will not attend.
Я думаю, він в будь-якому разі повинен відбутися, але такі потужні держави, як Китай, теж повинні там бути присутні.
President Zelensky's 10-point peace formula will take center stage. First announced in the fall of 2022, it includes the restoration of Ukraine's territorial integrity, the total withdrawal of Russian troops, and to punish those guilty of war crimes. The summit will, however, focus on three other themes in the formula: nuclear safety, food security, and the release of Ukrainian captives and children deported to Russia, issues Ukrainian officials say have the potential to unite countries with differing views. Throughout the war, thousands of soldiers have been taken captive on both sides, and Kyiv says it is hoping to discuss the idea of an all-for-all prisoner exchange. The UN has said more than 16,000 Ukrainian children have been illegally taken to Russia. Ahead of the conference at this year's Shangri-La Dialogue in Singapore, President Zelensky stressed the importance of diplomacy.
Ukraine proposed peace through diplomacy, an inclusive and fair former global peace summit. And I invite your region, your leaders, countries to join so that your peoples are involved in these global affairs. And by uniting against one war, we create for the world a real experience, the experience of overcoming any war and of diplomacy that does work.
It is unclear how effective the summit will be in finding a path to end a 27-month-old war, but Kyiv believes this is the first step in bringing as many countries together to showcase their commitment to peace. Megumi Lim, CNA, Kyiv.